Thank you very much, Dr. Tange. I appreciate those raving reviews. I started Help Alberta's Pain because as an advocate, it was important that we understood what was happening on the front line from the patient perspective. So as we spoke about the real experience that each and every one of you had. And over the last 5 or 6 years, the community's been building, and our opportunity to use that communal voice to really press the system to make changes to improve the care of chronic pain patients has increased. And opportunities like this have been rising, which always translates to positive things for the chronic pain patients. So today, we've talked about a whole lot of things. We've gone through nutrition and mindfulness and meditation and sleep and on and on. And these are probably not things that you haven't heard of before. Maybe you got a bunch of new ideas here. Maybe you did run into some things you hadn't heard of. Maybe it motivated you to try some things you haven't tried before. But I want to ask a question right up front that I will answer closer to the end. And that is, what are you fighting for? Let's face it, if you're here, you either are living with chronic pain or you are someone who supports and cares for somebody with chronic pain. And chronic pain turns to be the fight of our lives. We fight for a diagnosis. We fight for treatment. We fight to maintain our family. We fight to maintain our income. We fight to sleep. We fight to eat. We fight. It's a fight. It is. We might not see it that way, but really when you step back and look at it, our world has come to this point where we seem to be battling for the things other people take for granted. Now, what are we fighting for? I mean, everybody has an independent kind of experience. So it could be, oh, I'm fighting for family, or I'm fighting for being pain-free, or I'm fighting for my job. And those are all important and valid reasons. But underlying, there is a common thing we are all fighting for. So let's talk about what we heard here today and how it applies to that fight. Usually, when patients have come to something like this or run into this kind of information, there are 4 ways in which they respond. The first one is, yay, information, ideas, I'm excited, I'm going to go out, try it all, do it all. Thank goodness. The second way is, I'm not sure. It sounds good, but maybe, but I don't know. The third one is, I've tried it, it's failed. Tried it, I still have pain. I tried it, still can't sleep. Usually I find that the tried it and it failed people are also the ones where the only time this has ever been brought up, the only time anybody's ever talked to them about these things is at the point where some medical professional is giving up on them. So you've gone to the doctor, he's tried a couple of things, they have failed, doesn't seem to be willing to really commit to trying something else, and throws out the term meditation, or you really need to exercise. And in that moment, our reaction to that information and how we process it is already negative. It's already starting us at a deficit. And the last way that patients respond to it is, I'm too broken. I'm too broken to move. I'm too broken to think clearly enough to meditate. I'm too broken to be able to have enough energy during the day to do these things. I have fallen so far down this hole of pain, and it has been so all consuming in my life that if I could, I would, but I can't. I'm going to talk a little bit about how each of those responses is something that I've gone through and why those things can change and how they can change as we approach these concepts in our lives. First of all, yay, new information. I've been there. The problem is that with the yay, new information, number one, I couldn't remember what was told to me the next day. Number two, I was excited today, but tomorrow pain was higher, or I was more tired, or there was something else that took priority. I figured something out. We're always given different definitions of acceptance. My definition of acceptance of my chronic pain is that it is not rolling over and saying, I have pain. It is recognizing that I have pain. It is a priority in my life to address, and I must set aside the time, carve out the energy to do the things I need to do to live the best life I can with my pain. It's kind of like paying bills. You have to pay the bills and accept that you have to pay the bills if you want to live in a house. Now, if you don't pay the bills, it becomes very stressful. Everything gets worse. Somebody's knocking at the door, threatening to cut off your power and gas. The same is true with pain. If you don't accept it and set aside the time to do the things that you need to do to live that best life that you can, things get worse. Lack of motion stiffens muscles. Lack of exercise or nutrition reduces the energy that you have. The reduction of energy means that during the day, your mind and body are not moving or accomplishing anything, burning off any energy. And that night, you don't sleep. I had to be more than excited. I had to accept that this was important in my life. I'm not sure. You know, I think the reason why we run into that is because questions start popping up in our mind as we think about it later. How much do you meditate? How do you do mindfulness? When do you use a script? How often do I do the punching exercises? Where do I get the shrimp? We come up with all of these questions, trying to figure out how these alternative tools can be put together to change our lives. And we stumble and we confuse ourselves and we become scared. I know that I didn't identify it as fear, but trust me when I say I was crippled by fear. So I would stand up and decide today's the day I'm going to take charge of my life. And by noon, I was standing perfectly still, unsure where to start, and being fearful of taking the next step, making a mistake, looking foolish, getting it wrong. Exciting news. There is no prescription. There is no right way for how to apply these kinds of tools in your life. The fact is, my path and journey is going to be unique to me, and yours will be unique to you. I may rely heavily on meditation, but maybe meditation isn't for you. Maybe it's just not something that you can sink your teeth into. So mindfulness exercise or walking thoughtfulness are better opportunities for you to get your head clear and your mind back in the game. I know that for me, the idea of putting on a pair of running shoes and going for a long walk or hitting a punching bag or going to the gym was beyond me. In fact, at the worst, I was more bedridden than I was out of bed. Putting on socks was an issue. Getting down the hall to the bathroom was an issue. There was no way those other things were going to happen. And so for me, I had to start and I had to start small. I had to start with adding just a couple of extra steps into my day. Then I got a week game system. You remember the original ones with those interactive sports games and exercise games and the balance board? And I began on the very, very beginner level, the one that we put on for the little kids. And I would begin to interact with it 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That was where I was. And that feedback, the little sticker saying you did a great job, I needed. Maybe you don't. Maybe just getting outside will spur you into motion. It didn't work quite that way for me. When it comes to sleep, there are about 1.5 million ways to do something to help yourself to fall asleep. Now, I can't guarantee you that you're going to fall asleep without needing other help like medication. There are things that you can do to support that medication or to support yourself in sleeping. The method that you choose needs to be right for you. If you look online, there are a whole bunch of videos on just inducing sleep. Try one. If it doesn't work, try another. And if that one doesn't work, try another. And the exciting part is sometimes it's the combination. It's a combination of exercise, meditation, and these sleep techniques. You are going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to go out and read, go out and look, try, make changes to what you learn to make that tool personal to you. And the best part is that because it is so personal, you can't fail. You just can't fail. Your body will tell you, your mind and your heart and soul will tell you. There was a wonderful speaker, a professional, who gave this great presentation about mindfulness to a group of patients that I happened to be at. And they're an expert in their field. Everybody was so excited. And one of the patients who was there came to me and said, I've heard them before. I've tried the technique. I couldn't make it work. And then she so bashfully said, but I kind of changed this. And she almost felt like she was wrong or maybe bad or screwing it up somehow. But she didn't. She got it right because it became right for her. The tried it and failed, that's tough. And I know that's hard because I've been there. In fact, over these very issues, I was thrown out of my first pain clinic. I couldn't get it right. I couldn't make it work in my life. But I'm going to ask you, are you trying to cure your pain? Are you trying to use a sleep technique to fall asleep and never need medication again? Are you doing mindfulness so that you never ever feel sad? Maybe part of the reason why it failed is because in your mind, you had expectations beyond what were reasonable. Sometimes what goes wrong is that we try it for a day or a week because nobody told you that many of these techniques require practice. We get better at them every time we do it. Maybe it failed because we just gave up a little too soon. I gave up and had to restart many, many times until I got it right. And I really hope you don't make the same mistake. And as far as I'm too broken, none of us are too broken. Not one of us. If you are bedridden and the only thing that you can do is a little physiotherapy exercise to loosen the muscles in your shoulders so that it doesn't hurt quite as bad when you reach for something, that is a step forward. That's where you begin. I want you to take this information. I want you to try to apply it to your lives. Go out into the community and find others who are doing the same thing. I want you to celebrate the tiny successes. I want you to celebrate the extra 5 steps. I want you to uplift each other when the others reach out to you for support. I want you to pat yourself on the back, because remember, while we are fighting this epic fight, you still took the time to make these things a priority. Chronic pain patients are some of the strongest, toughest people I have ever met. The more that I have done this job, and the more I like chronic pain patients, because I know that with the right information, the right support, and the right motivation, we can move mountains. Maybe just a little bit at a time, but we can. I asked you a question at the beginning, and the question was, what are we fighting for? This stuff that we have been given today, maybe it's not about being drug-free. Maybe it's not about being pain-free. Maybe what we're fighting for is the moments between the peaks of pain. Maybe we're fighting to live the best life we can in those moments. Maybe the exercise gives us the strength on those good days to have the power to enjoy them. Maybe the extra sleep will give us the energy to appreciate and do what we need to do to live the best life we can between the days of pain. Maybe what we've learned today is about taking back our lives so that we can live the best lives we can despite our pain. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you everyone for hosting this and sharing your time. Back to you, Rob.